Hey kids, Pat and I had lunch with Kent and Paula after church today, and they asked me to be sure and say hello. Listen, I realized after thinking about what I've said a couple of times that I've made a mistake, and I want to correct that. I said that the Congress was full of self-centered, self-serving idiots, and I realize now that I was wrong. On the one hand, you would think that only a room full of idiots could create the financial mess that we're in today. But I know firsthand that really it's not possible for an idiot to be elected to Congress. So I take that back. They're not idiots. But I still stick with the idea that they're self-centered, self-serving, and interested primarily in one thing, and that's maintaining their congressional lapel pin. In the next letter, I'm going to explain with several charts the how and the what of the federal debt. We'll look at spending over the past several years, we'll look at the allocations, and we're going to look at some projections for the future. But in this short note, I want to share my opinions of the why. Why are we in the trouble that we're in today? And again, what I think you need to do to try to turn this around. To begin, we need to back up and look at some history. The date is July 4th, 1776, and after much discussion and debate, the Declaration of Independence was signed, signaling the beginning of our country's first war. Thomas Jefferson, who penned the Declaration, closed with this line, "And for the support of this Declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." 11 years later, the new government would adopt a constitution. Listen to the preamble of the Constitution. "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Notice the theme specifically of the general welfare, what we might otherwise call the common good. Our founders had only one thing in mind, what was best for the country. Again, the common good. Fast forward now to January 20th, 1961. I was only 9 at the time, and I don't remember seeing this when it was live, but I sure remember hearing a lot about it and studying it in civics classes during the following years. John F. Kennedy, a Democrat, had just been sworn in as the 35th president, and I'd like for you to listen to a couple of selections from his speech. "We're proud of our ancient heritage and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today at home and abroad. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Wow. If this were what it meant to be a Democrat today, I'd be one. But Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi bear not even a faint resemblance to this man or his philosophy. So what happened? Well, enter the boomers. Up until the 60s, the country still worked on and believed in the idea of the common good. But the boomers developed new mantras. They went like this: "If it feels good, do it. Don't not do it, just don't get caught. Look out for number one. The other guy can look out for himself." I sum it all up in this new word, whiffum. And that means, what's in it for me? Well, by now the boomers are everywhere, from the welfare rolls to the heads of companies and, yes, even to the halls of Congress, and they are splintered into a myriad of interest groups. Now, elections have always been about garnering votes, but in earlier days, votes were won based on a candidate's vision for the country. Boomer candidates for office looked and saw that other boomers were now the heads of unions, heads of companies, and heads of special interest groups, so they began making deals for votes. You get me your votes and money, and I'll get you a tax break or a subsidy or an earmark. More on earmarks later. And since there's no restraint on spending, and of course the competition among political wannabes gets tougher and tougher, the cost of buying these votes has been going up and up. Now, it's unpopular, though, to raise taxes. So, we've been paying for all this political candy on the national credit card. Here's one recent example. It's probably one of the most egregious, and I'm sorry to say, passed by a Republican administration. That's the Medicare Prescription Drug Program. This one program aimed at one target special interest group, the old folks, has added $8 trillion to your unfunded debt. Now, kids, your grandparents would never intentionally do anything to hurt you. I know they would go hungry before they would ever take food out of your mouths. But they've been conditioned for so long by the politicians to expect more and more services, at no cost to them, by the way, that they've lost all connection now between what things cost and who pays for them. So, I close and say again, the only hope you have for saving yourself financially is to organize with your friends and demand of your Congress and your President this one thing: a balanced budget amendment. Okay, that's all for now. When we get back together here again, I'll have this ready shortly. We're going to talk about the how and the what of the federal debt. Kids, remember, I love you, and don't forget to call your mom.